Huh? There. Oh. Huh? Wah. Durr.
Hey now, and welcome down to KC Toy Reviews. We are here today with Moff Gideon from the hit Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. And of course, as always, Hot Toys has knocked it out of the park on this one. However, there is one part of this figure that I am not a big fan of, and if you're at all curious what that is, well, let's go ahead and dive right the hell goddamn in. Alright, so here we are with one of the best Star Wars villains in recent memory, and that's Moff Gideon. Of course, the makers of this series had a little bit of an advantage because they hired Giancarlo from Breaking Bad, which on a side note, Breaking Bad, probably one of the best shows of all time. And of course, Giancarlo's character has one of the most memorable scenes in TV history, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And I believe Mars Figures is actually making a 1/6 figure of that scene right now, so check that out. But anyways, Moff Gideon, amazing enemy. And I would say that if I were to think of somebody that's comparable, it would probably be Director Krennic from Rogue One. Both of these guys are more of a mid-range enemy. They're not your Thrawn, they're not your Tarkins. I mean, what? Mandalorian beat the crap out of this guy in 2 to 3 minutes once they got face-to-face with one another. So Moff Gideon is pretty badass, but he's more of your mid-range Imperial officer. Now, he is a Moff, so he does oversee quite a bit. And in terms of the show, I think that he's a looming character that we will see from Season 1 all the way through Season 3 and possibly more. So I absolutely had to have him in my collection. And, well, I started with this shot for a very particular reason. As I pulled him out of the box, and hopefully somebody can answer this and comment below, I thought that the Darksaber was abnormally long. Side by side to a saber, it was slightly larger. Now, I'm going to think that Hot Toys did their due diligence, and this is screen accurate. However, my first impressions were, man, this thing is goddamn long. Now, being that this is a Darksaber, we are looking at probably one of the only 1/6 Darksabers on the market sitting in Moff Gideon's hands right now. Now, it's an interesting time to do it, but let's get the accessory portion out of the way because it's kind of a what you see is what you get. And the reason I'm going to segue to that right now is we're talking about the Darksaber as you have the one in hand, and then you have kind of the swinging version here with the little lightning cracks on the side there. Oh, I think I can see my face in there. Look at that. Hey, yeah, you like that? Anyway, that was really super creepy. But anyways, yeah, you get this swinging version. I think these swinging versions are so tacky. I never use them. I can get it if you're doing photography, but leaving it on your shelf with these versions is ridiculous. It looks just like a giant fan or like a wing to an airplane or something like that. And then if you didn't want to have any blade whatsoever, you can just plug this in and take the Darksaber piece out and basically just have a hilt in his hand. Not sure who the hell would want to do that. I think everybody wants to have this Darksaber exposed. So in regards to the armor set, it is absolutely flawless. Tailored perfectly, several layers of contrast, and we'll get a little bit into the nitty-gritty as we talk through the character, but I was just blown away by the craftsmanship of the suit itself. And you know, obviously, and hopefully people sense this, or it's been said 100 other times, but there are really strong Darth Vader vibes throughout this armor set. There are influences pulled all over this thing. Clearly the chest piece here, the way the buttons are, the darkness, the red, the tones of it, overall, this thing is amazing. Now, in terms of what we're looking at material-wise, punched him right in the nuts, actually, right there. Anyways, material-wise, again, we are looking at cloth. There's kind of like a stretchy, rubbery material on this. Obviously, a very glossy. I don't even want to touch the armor. It's so glossy. You're going to see my fingerprint on there. But you have this nice glossy hard plastic area here, so you do have a contrast between the belt, the hard plastic, and then the cloth. And then the way these gauntlets kind of sit on top of, these just remind me straight up of like a skater glove. These are so the cheesiest gloves ever. I'm not really gonna even knock the figure to it, but as I saw those, I was like, man, I remember wearing those when I went paintballing and skateboarding and stuff like that. So those gloves are kind of interesting, but I'm not going to make fun of it too much. And then we'll get to the cape, but the cape is absolutely beautiful. We have a wire that goes right down through the sides, and then there are actually multiple layers to the cape, which are beautiful. Now, disappointing to say, the gun holster snapped on me immediately. So we can see this little piece here is actually supposed to go over the top of this and then kind of be right here. immediately came off. Obviously, I can apply some type of adhesive, but it's just kind of perplexing because the Death Watch had a nice little magnet system in there, which you can kind of just put there. So if you're going for screen accuracy, Hot Toys, I get it, but I just can't believe, again, most of us are paying between $200 and $300 for this figure. For us to get it out of the box and anything to snap immediately, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable. So, yeah, just be warned as you put that gun in there. This piece is very, very fragile. And then the gun itself, so I lied earlier, this is another accessory. So you do have this little blaster. The blaster's nice. There's a little bit of weathering to the tip of the barrel there. Decent weight, good paint application. It's just a really, really nicely done blaster given the size of this thing. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the cape. However, it's something to note that it was kind of like a double layer here. So you have the black back to the cape there and then the red inner layer. Nothing really holds them together. I'm sure that that's screen accurate, but they just kind of flop around at the bottom here. And then as I mentioned, we have a wire that goes all the way through here down to there. Nothing at the bottom. So really just more dynamic poses on the side of these capes. And overall, the cape is beautifully tailored, so no complaints other than this kind of weird separation between the two pieces on the bottom. But again, perhaps that's screen accurate, and it's nothing that I should be complaining about. But it just looks a little sloppy. If you kind of even see the corner here, you have this weird cut of the bottom layer that goes up into the red area there. So even stuff like that, just slightly sloppy given the price point of these guys now. Not even just price point, quality-wise, too, that I'm seeing these guys put out was, in recent memory, the first ones that come to mind are like the new Boba Fett from the Mandalorian, kind of the damaged armor one, and then the DX-19. We are talking about nearly flawless figures that are out there, so the fact that I am seeing Hot Toys able to put out these flawless figures and then seeing some kind of weird things here and then like this snapping, it's making me think that they are rushing some of these figures out, but I really want to say it's just me nitpicking. Ultimately, it wouldn't hold me back from getting this figure. It's just something I'm starting to notice. All right, so now on to the head sculpt, aka the most controversial parts of my videos and reviews. And the reason being is nowadays everybody rants about every single head sculpt that hits the market. It's the best one, it's the best one. The fact of the matter is, this is not a great head sculpt. Is it bad? No. But I struggle to say that it's good, to be really honest. As we look at Giancarlo from The Mandalorian in the Hot Toys figure in front of us, something is just slightly missing. I'm not sure if it's the tone of the skin or the mustache/chin area, but it looks, the actual character on here is slightly washed out. I mean, I really truly had a hell of a time even taking photographs of this guy, and I'm not sure why, because I have a very expensive camera, and something about the tones on this guy just look washed out, whether it's on film or my photographs. And secondly, I think we just need to be honest with ourselves once in a while that Hot Toys does not produce fantastic 10 out of 10 head sculpts every time. Because unfortunately now we have some head sculpts that are in the 9 to 9.5 category that we can confidently say, hey, we've seen you pull off way better than this, so what's going on? And again, example, recent memory, Tamora Morrison from Boba Fett, we're talking about a nearly perfect 1/6 scale head sculpt in the 9 categories on this thing. So then when I see Giancarlo and then people saying that this is also a 9, I'm like, well, it doesn't really make sense what you're saying. This head sculpt is more in the 6 or 7.2 category. Now let's again stress, this is not a bad head sculpt, but this, Jango Fett, some of the other head sculpts that have come, especially, my God, the Luke with the weird lips and mouth from the Snowspeeder Luke from Empire Strikes Back. Everybody raving about these things, and I'm like, what the hell is everybody talking about? I understand riding the momentum wave of the excitement of these things and the figure celebration that we all recently experienced. So it's like, yes, I get it, but we have to be honest to one another. We can't go blasting that these are the best head sculpts ever, because the fact of the matter is they are not. Looks like he belongs at a 60s jazz concert. And Giancarlo kind of has that look to begin with, but something about this head sculpt is just a little off, and I'm not sure if it's just the overall look. They should have really went for the look that is on the posters of The Mandalorian or just some of the looks throughout the show. This is a very random gaze that he's given us, and it just doesn't really hold up with the sword and the suit and everything that this character represents, again, in my opinion. Now, with all that said, and we do have some nice skin tones, is it washed out in my opinion? Yeah. Does the hair look a little bit washed out? Yeah, it's almost like if you can see here this line between where the hair and the forehead meet, it's like this, almost like they start to blend. The camera is adding a little bit of shadow to the face there, so it looks a little bit better through the lens of the camera than it does actually in person. Because of course I know as I'm saying this, I'm going to get comments and people go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, this is the best head sculpt of all time. All I'm saying, and I don't want to beat a dead horse with it is not a bad head sculpt. It's just that when we have Tamora Morrison out there that's a 9.1, there's got to be like a 9.2, 9.3 head sculpt, one of the best that we've seen in a long time. Well, this one's more of a 6.7 category. It's not bad, it's just not the greatest. All right, so there we have it. Moff Gideon by Hot Toys. Now, before we slap a score on this guy and get into some final closing notes, I want to first mention that toysbuyingagent.com currently has this guy in stock. I do have the link below. They offer the best prices, 7-day shipping. Codes are right on the page, so everybody talking about rewards codes, he's got them right on the page there. And then, of course, you can do PayPal, Pay in 4. So you have everything you need right at your fingertips right now to get this guy in front of you over the next few weeks, because it is an amazing figure. And if you're down there in the details of the video, please check out, we have a group, we have an Instagram, Portraits of Plastic, Toys Buying Agent. There's a plethora of stuff down there that I want you guys to check out. But more importantly, the figure at hand, Moff Gideon from The Mandalorian on Disney+. A badass figure. It's tailored fantastically. We have layers upon layers of materials on this guy, which just adds some pop to it when shelf presence. The simplicity to the colors, in my opinion, truly adds to it. The fact that we are just looking at black and red is amazing. Very reminiscent of Darth Vader himself, and we couldn't ask for more. So as we have this guy on our shelves, keep in mind, it's not going to only remind you of one of the best new Star Wars shows in a long time, The Mandalorian. Well, it's also going to remind you of Darth Vader. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a strong feeling we are going to see Moff Gideon for a long time to come. And then just to quickly and randomly note, as far as articulation goes on this guy, I'm not going to go too heavily into it because he's Moff Gideon. He didn't do a whole hell of a lot. He's not flying around and jumping through the skies. However, he does have double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, and due to the cloth suit around it, basically you can pose him however the hell you want. So the figure does have a lot of longevity. I might not be thrilled with the head sculpt, but as it spins, the way it's all pulled together, I'm telling you, I can't stress enough. The way they pulled the suit off on this guy is phenomenal. It really, really pops in person. It might look simplistic through the lens, or maybe it doesn't, but it just looks fantastic in person. And then, of course, just the fact that we now have a 1/6 scale Darksaber in our collection is amazing. This thing is a very sought-after item. The Moff wants it. Bo-Katan wants it. The Mandalorian wants it. Everybody wants this thing. Paz wants it. Everybody wants this thing. But for now, we have it in Moff Gideon's hands on our shelves, and we couldn't ask for more. Fantastic detail to the blade, to the hilt itself. The gun accessory is great. Everything's pulled together nicely. It looks phenomenal. Proportions are spot on. And as always, Hot Toys has just knocked it out of the park. And with all that said, I think it's a good segue to give a score to this guy. What comes to mind is going to be an 8.9 out of 10. And the reason this guy didn't cross the 9 threshold, something's just holding me back on that head sculpt. Something about it. I can't put my finger on it. It's the mustache area, the tone of it, a little washed out. Something is slightly off on that head sculpt. If maybe even the look, maybe if had they improved the look, give him a different gaze or something, straight up out of the poster, it would have been better. Had that head sculpt been spot on in the Tamora Morrison category, then honestly, this guy could have been like a 9.4 because it is flawless overall. I think my gripe on the bottom of the cape is probably just a personal preference, and it might have been just crap luck that my gun holster deteriorated out of the box. But other than that, this guy's amazing. The show's amazing. They've pulled off a stunning piece as always. Lately, it's just been one after another with Hot Toys, and now we have Moff Gideon. Do I suggest this? Do I recommend it? 100%. I think we're going to see this guy again. So a lot of people saying, oh, this could be the only version we ever see of him out there. I would probably challenge that. Somebody like Director Krennic, the way that movie ended, yeah, we're never going to see a Director Krennic again. But for now, I do suggest this figure. He's floating right around the 240 to 260 mark, and you can't go wrong. A stand, a fantastic figure from one of the best shows of all time. You're in the A zone. I mean, you're a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's all I can say. So that's going to be it for us here today at KC Toy Reviews. Moff Gideon, Giancarlo, Breaking Bad. See you guys next time!
Huh?